think it's always funny to replace my face with a boob. Did art impact your life, or did life impact your art? I came to art through wanting to express my lived experiences as a woman in a man's world. I think art is a language, and since at the time I started making art, I didn't really feel like I was eloquent enough to use words to express myself and my feelings. I felt I was much more able to express myself visually than vocally. So that's how I came to art. My lived experiences as a woman with sexism and the exploitation of women, especially as having worked as a model before I became an artist. That's what drove me to wanting to make art. I find making art to be very healing, and so the art I make is very personal to me. It's about traumatic experiences I've had, or that I feel that women collectively have. So life impacts my art, and then in turn, since it helps me heal, art impacts my life. Favorite feminist icon or artist? I can't pick one, but to name a few, Sarah Lucas, Tracy Emin, Ana Mendieta. Those are my three favorites. What adjectives would best describe you? Disorganized, for sure. Empathetic and idealistic. Gender stereotypes that bother you. What currently bothers me the most is how women are expected to be less in everything, you know, less capable of leading, less insistent on being treated fairly, being expected to earn less, being expected to want less for themselves, being expected to fight less, to stand up for themselves less. Like we have to make ourselves small somehow, because somehow masculinity is threatened by women being more. First artwork you fell in love with. I think the first art that really made an impression on me were probably the paintings of René Magritte. As a child, I was really just mesmerized by his paintings, the way the sky and clouds frequently show up in his works, the way women's bodies show up in his works, but they're not. They are maybe somehow a little bit objectified, but it never seemed in a way that was violent. It always seemed like very dreamy dreamscapes. And then when I was a little older, the one piece of artwork that really had a big impact on me and made me want to be an artist was Sarah Lucas, the mattress with the, I think there's a bucket and two pieces of fruit that are supposed to represent a woman, and then next to it is a cucumber that's supposed to represent a man. And I thought that was just the funniest piece of art I've ever seen. It was funny and sad at the same time, and it had a huge impact on me. Describe your work presented in the art show Modern Women You Think You Know Me. I have 3 works in the exhibition Modern Women You Think You Know Me. One is called The Canyon, which is a sort of landscape inspired by the female form. And then there is The Woman of Man, which is my own interpretation of one of Magritte's most famous paintings, Son of Man, which I think most people will know. It's the businessman with the apple in front of his face. And I painted myself with a egg-shaped boob where my head should be, or my face should be. Standing in the rain, like a rainbow-colored rain. It's kind of sad, but also I feel like kind of funny. I think it's always funny to replace my face with a boob. It's my way of saying how sometimes I feel I'm being reduced to just my female shape, and how that makes me feel. Kind of, you know, isolated and alone and faceless. But somehow, to me, it's also a little funny. I like treating sad things with humor. And then the last work is a painting called The Opposite of Less, which comes back to the gender stereotypes. This painting is a self-portrait of myself and the struggle I feel trying to just exist in this world, being myself, with my masculine side and my feminine side, and how they interact with each other and how they interact with society's expectations of me, and also how I no longer want to try to be less, because for a long time in my life I would make myself less. I would make myself smaller in order to appease to men. I felt like I had to be less smart, less outspoken, less assertive. And so this is a self-portrait of me coming into my own, being assertive, which you can see that the female figure in the painting has sort of pointy shoulders, which is me trying to express how sometimes I can feel myself harden a bit through always dealing with feminist topics and speaking about sexism and feeling the pushback about that. I feel myself hardened sometimes, and that's why in that painting I have these pointy shoulders, because I feel they kind of, for me, they kind of symbolize, they kind of make me look like a soldier or like an authority figure in the painting, and I don't really strive to be that. I like being soft. I enjoy being soft, but when you're soft in this world, it makes you vulnerable sometimes for attacks. I think being vulnerable is a beautiful thing, but I think there needs to be a balance where you are soft, but you also know how to stand up for yourself and set boundaries for yourself. So that's what this painting is about.